The news of Angie Stone's passing sent shockwaves through the music world, leaving fans heartbroken and searching for answers. But what if there's more to the story than meets the eye? What if her tragic accident wasn't just a coincidence? In the days leading up to her death, Angie had been vocal about the dark side of the industry, the contracts, the stolen royalties, and the powerful figures she claimed were keeping artists trapped. And now, some people believe she may have been silenced before she could expose the truth. Enter Jaguar Wright, the outspoken singer who has never been afraid to pull back the curtain on the music industry's deepest secrets. She has come forward with claims that Angie's death wasn't an accident at all, but something much more sinister, according to her. The timing of Angie's passing is just too convenient to ignore, and the fact that Angie was in the middle of a legal battle against a major record label makes the whole situation even more suspicious. So, what really happened to Angie Stone? Was she just another artist caught in the industry's never-ending cycle of exploitation? Or is there something much darker at play? Let's break down everything we know Angie's life, her struggles, and the chilling details surrounding her final days long before the fame and controversy. Angie Stone was just a young girl from Columbia, South Carolina, with a dream. Born Angela Laverne Brown on December 18, 1961, she grew up in a household where gospel music was more than just a genre, it was a way of life. Her father was a member of a local gospel quartet, and he made sure that music was a part of Angie's everyday experience. She spent her childhood attending church, singing in the choir, and learning from the greats of gospel music. But even as a child, Angie wasn't just a follower of music, she was a student of it. Her father took her to live performances, exposing her to groups like the Gospel Keynotes and the Singing Angels, watching these powerful vocalists. Angie didn't just see entertainment, she saw her future. By the time she was a teenager, it was clear that she had something special. Her voice wasn't just good, at a depth, soul, and a richness that couldn't be taught. The church played a crucial role in her development, giving her a place to refine her voice and build the confidence she would later need to navigate the cutthroat music industry. But as much as she loved gospel, Angie knew she wanted more. She wanted to push boundaries, break into new genres, and make a name for herself beyond the walls of the church. And soon, she would do just that. By the late 1970s, hip-hop was beginning to take shape. But it was still a male-dominated space. That was until Angie and two of her friends, Cheryl the Pearl Cook and Gwendolyn Blondie Chisholm, decided to change the game. They formed The Sequence, the first all-female hip-hop group, and quickly caught the attention of Sugar Hill Records. Their debut single, Funk You Up, wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural shift. It became the first rap song by a female group to reach the Billboard charts, paving the way for future female hip-hop artists. But as history would later show, being a trailblazer in the music industry doesn't always mean you get the credit you deserve. Despite their influence, The Sequence was never properly compensated for their work. Their music was sampled by some of the biggest names in the industry, including Dr. Dre, but they weren't given the recognition or royalties they were owed. Angie would later sue Mark Ronson for using Funk You Up as the foundation for his hit song Uptown Funk without proper credit. It was just the beginning of a pattern that would follow Angie throughout her career, making major contributions to music, only to have others profit off of her work. As hip-hop continued to evolve, Angie Stone found herself drawn to a different sound, one that would eventually define her career. She became a major force in the neo-soul movement, bringing her signature blend of gospel, R&B, and jazz to the mainstream. Her influence wasn't just in her own music, she was instrumental in shaping the sound of other artists, too. She worked closely with D'Angelo, helping write and produce vocals for his albums Brown Sugar and Voodoo. These albums would go on to define an entire era of R&B, but despite her contributions, Angie was rarely given the credit she deserved. Her solo career, however, proved that she didn't need validation from anyone. Hits like I Wish I Didn't Miss You, No More Rain, and Brother showcased her unique style and powerful voice. But behind the scenes, things weren't as smooth as they seemed.
That one of the biggest companies that I was with, Universal Music, it's the second part of the ugly truth. We began to research things to check on my royalties and my statements and things that of that nature, only to find out a lot of my publishing, a lot of my royalties, my mechanicals, they have all pretty much been stolen. As I begin to find out things that I never had to look into, because when you hire a team of people that, to some degree, supposed to have your back, you're thinking that they're getting it all together for you. You know, that's why You know, I respect Oprah Winfrey in that respect when she said, do your own research. Just Stone, the celebrity, that I let a lot of important things slip through the cracks only because I didn't know any better. I worked very hard to take care of my kids as a single mother, and I'm being transparent. My kids' fathers just were not doing what they're supposed to do. So I had to step up and go in and do everything that I needed to do for my family, which is why I worked so hard, which is why I traveled so much, which is why I did shows, because at the end of the day, after 40-something years in the business, I'm like, well, why? Where are my royalties going? Because I'm not getting this. Come to find out, Universal Music has been receiving all my royalties, all my mechanicals. They've taken pretty much everything. They've stolen, I won't say stolen, but they have taken all the monies that were due to me. They have basically absorbed in that company. And even though there's several class action lawsuits, people that were working on my behalf never even registered the songs. All the songs that I've done, I'm only coming to find out they were not properly registered by the companies that I signed over to. People that were supposed to do their due diligence. So I am truly a walking testimony that God has carried me all this time. Because if you only knew how much money they have taken from me, how much they have stolen from me, monies that I'm supposed to be, I should have been able to retire 20 years ago with the money I've made, supposedly. But there are key people that have been driving the ships. And what they've been doing is improperly representing me, improperly stealing from me, taking things in their own hand, changing and switching lanes because they knew I didn't know that part. See, I'm not an attorney. I don't know everything. What I learned how to do was go out, work hard, get paid, come home, pay my bills, take care of my family. That part. The legal side, when you hire attorneys and managers and agents, they're supposed to make sure the gray area over there that they're in the driver's seat for, they're supposed to make sure you're taken care of. And even though they were taking care of themselves, they thought very little of taking care of me. And I know because I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm just here to let you know, one way or the other, Universal Music, you're going to have to give up my coins.
What do they want?
What do you mean? They want their payment. They want their pound of flesh. They want you to keep feeding the system. Doesn't matter how hard she worked for it. That's not her money. That's their money. That's what they do. They've been robbing me for years.
Yep.
They stole more money from me than they stole from Angie. I can't stop thinking about Nick Carter and Aaron Carter. I can't stop thinking. Brother in the Illuminati, brother not in the Illuminati. Brother in the Illuminati commits all kinds of heinous crimes against women, and he's okay, but his brother's gone. And all he wanted was his money so he could push on. Like, how many of these things have to happen in front of the public? Of course they're going to attack, I'll be sure. Of course they're going to attack me. Of course they're going to attack anybody who's interested in the truth. Of course they're going to come at us really hard for that first 72 hours and make sure we stop posting, or at least get us flagged from being able to go live so nobody thinks about the details of the fact that we just watch Angie Stone get moved around in real time on her son's.
For all of Angie's success, the music industry was never kind to her. She frequently spoke about being taken advantage of, whether it was management mishandling her career, record labels withholding royalties, or other artists using her work. Without proper credit, she also faced major setbacks in other areas of her career. At one point, she was supposed to land a leading role in the Know, one ladies' detective agency. But due to mismanagement, The opportunity slipped away, and the role went to Jill Scott instead. But perhaps the biggest betrayal came from her own record label. Angie was outspoken about the fact that Universal Music had been collecting her royalties for years, without paying her what she was owed. She described how she had worked tirelessly for decades, only to find out that the money she had earned had been absorbed by the company, and just when she was preparing to take legal action, tragedy struck. On March 1st, 2025, Angie Stone was involved in a fatal car accident in Montgomery, Alabama, but almost immediately, people began questioning the details. She was the only person in the vehicle who lost their life. And for those who have been following the history of the music industry, this raised some serious red flags. Was it really just a tragic accident? Or was there something more sinister at play? As news of her passing spread, fans and fellow artists took to social media to express their shock and grief. But alongside the tributes, there was growing suspicion. Jaguar Wright came forward with some shocking claims alleging that Angie was silenced because she was on the verge of exposing some powerful people in the industry, and she's not alone in her suspicions. Throughout history, artists who have challenged the industry's control have met mysterious and untimely ends. Could Angie have been another victim? Angie Stone's impact on music is undeniable. She broke barriers, influenced some of the biggest names in the industry, and left behind a catalog of timeless music. But her story also serves as a warning about the darker side of the industry, one where artists are exploited, silenced, and sometimes tragically lost. Was Angie Stone's death truly an accident? Or was there something more to it? The questions remain. But one thing is certain: her legacy will never be forgotten.